By the time you're done listening to this podcast, you're going to have all the tools that you need to be a millionaire. Let's dive in. All right, I want to go ahead and retract my previous statement that I made just before the intro there. But I do want to talk about something. It's called Warren Buffett's 5 and 25 rule. And I actually don't know if this was made by Warren Buffett or if he said it. I was just doing a podcast that ultimately I had to can. But we talked about Warren Buffett's 5 and 25 rule. And it's actually pretty interesting, and I think it's pretty spot on, too. So the concept behind it, as far as I know, at least this is how I'm going to run with it, is that you've got 5 main goals that are like the main things that you're trying to do, and then you've got about 25 sub-goals that are distractions from you actually achieving the main goal. And over the past year, one of the things that has really changed the course of my life has been setting goals. And I got to be honest, I've been real shitty about that lately of sticking to what those goals are. It does introduce a little extra layer of chaos into things. It's not completely shitty, though. One of the things that we talked about on a previous episode was just this blue belt mentality. And I feel like I'm a blue belt in a lot of things. And I'm trying to adopt more of a black belt mentality. But one of the things that I'm thankful for is that I do have about 5 main things that I am just now, as I set my sights on those main things, I'm able to find some stability across the board. I'm not killing it in any field. I'm not like, oh my God, you're the best fucking podcast ever. It's just, I've got some things in 5 different fields that are actually humming along. Work's moving along solid. I'm not killing it there. I'm also not falling behind. It's just, it's moving along. I'm actually getting the grip of things. That's moving along. Jiu-jitsu, I'm not killing it. I'm not like, oh my God, this guy's the next like fucking Gordon Ryan or something like that. But I'm just moving it along, showing up, just getting a little better, a little better, a little better. You fall off, you get a little better, like all that kind of stuff. Same thing with music. Finally put out music, and then I've been working on music again. What else? Family's moving along nicely. And, yeah, I got one other goal. And so that's how you know that I'm really dialed into my goals. I don't even know what the fucking 5th one is. Jesus, what is it? Anyway, so all these things, like I've got a handful of these goals that I'm moving forward, and I have about 5 of them. But I did notice that a lot of these sub goals, like the 25 smaller goals, things like that pop up, I do kind of get fixated on those, and it pulls me down a rabbit hole for anywhere from a few days to sometimes like a few months, where I get fixated on something else that's not actually relevant to the main goals that I want to hit. And so I just start going down these rabbit holes, and then a few days, a few weeks go by, sometimes even months go by, and you're like, I'm not actually any closer to the things that I actually want, and I'm not really any closer to this smaller thing that I thought that I wanted. I don't know what a good example of it would be, but it's almost like when something pops up, like, man, I want to get in really good shape. Like, okay, well, that kind of goes in tandem with becoming a black belt in jiu-jitsu. If that's one of my goals, like, yeah, it'd be good to be in good shape. Like, it's a tandem kind of thing, so it makes sense, and you can go, well, in order to do one, I need to do the other. And it's partially true. You don't want to be completely out of shape, but you don't necessarily need to be, I don't need to be fucking shredded in order to get a black belt. But I can go down these paths where you start going in that zone, and then when, Monday evening comes up and it's time to go to class and get rolling, do the drills, all that stuff, it's really easy to start justifying like, oh man, I don't really need to go and do that. Like I almost didn't do this podcast tonight because I was like, you know what? I don't really have much to say, and maybe I don't really need to, and it's probably fine if I don't. And then I was like, you know what? You're being a little bitch. Sit down, start writing, get the ideas flowing, and you'll find it. And that's what I'm talking to you here about. I think part of it too is the resistance. Like if you listen to The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield, he talks about resistance. It pops up in all these ways, and it's real clever too. Like I had a pretty good reason not to do this. I'm tired as fuck, and this probably isn't that great of a podcast, but it is just something that's like, okay, made the commitment, I'm going to do it. I don't even have a way to upload this video tonight because my internet's down, but I'm still going to record this. I'll still put it together and I'll see what I can do. So maybe I'll put it out there tomorrow. We'll see. Maybe I'll bring it to the office. I don't know. I wanted to keep this setup pretty simple. I got my phone on a little tripod and I got this DJI mic. I was not interested in setting up all the cameras, the lights, the good quality microphone, everything like that, because I'm being a real lazy prick, and I'm actually glad I didn't do the full setup tonight, because then I think I would have definitely copped out. So do what you need to do. If you're working on something, just keep chipping away at it. That's what I'm realizing with the music is I try to make things perfect, and I try to make sure I have the perfect timing to do everything. And then over the past week, I've made more progress on these handful of songs that I've been sitting on for a few years just because I just chip away when I have time. I had an hour, I had 2 hours, I had an hour, I had 3 hours, I had 2 hours, just different things. And, you know, in the past, I would have been hit a moment of defeat, and this time I'm like, hey, I just have time to listen to hi-hats on this song and to get them quantized and to get the velocity right so it's got the right feel to it, and then I can maybe take 10 minutes to try and like come up with a little guitar riff or throw a little piano there. The other day I was like, I can just get the kick drum and the snare drum lined up, or I can just focus on the bass. It was just little things that help move it along, and I'm like working it like it's a craft, just like you would do if you were doing a sculpture or putting together a desk or something like that. You're just like shaving little pieces off, making minor adjustments, and all these small things are adding up to something big. And I sent it to a couple people, and they were like, dude, this is fucking awesome. And that's always a good feeling because when you're sitting on these songs for years, you don't know if they're going to be any good. And also, it's hard to get a song that's just like acoustic to be a full band song. So, yeah, if you're working on something, keep chipping away at it. It's not going to be perfect. Fuck yeah. And that's it. Stop being fucking pussies out there. Go home. Give all the money that you made to your wife so she can order things on Amazon at will. Don't ask questions about it. You just sit there. You make sure she's signed up for Prime. You make sure she got Prime Day. And don't be a little bitch about it. Okay? And that's all I got for you. Bye-bye.